theologically speaking, there is a risk of foregoing an opportunity to demonstrate our love to God by using machines that cannot love God, because they are machines. They were not created in his image like we are.
Why not just go the route of like, look, okay, what's the importance of art in this? Why does it matter that it's a human hand making this?
This is where the true rub comes in, because I would agree with that. I would agree with that if you believe in a purely materialistic world, or are unconcerned with the spiritual matters at the very least. I would agree. I would agree that who cares? Maybe you'd think it looks bad, but there's plenty of stuff that humans make that I think looks bad. So
There's
problem?
There's comic book artists out there that are just not my
Right.
favorite.
I'm not interested. You know, Tim Sale is not my favorite. I know you love him. I think Long Halloween is wonderful. I don't necessarily like his art style to a certain extent. I understand it's
Thank you for listening, guys. We appreciate you.
I'm saying, like, it's okay. It's fine not to like something. And
Other than Tim Sale.
That's the line here at Save and Continue. You insult Tim Sale, you're out of here. Expect somebody else next time. I would agree with you. Like, what's the difference? If we, every single, like, there are practical statements you could make. The economy, whatever. Like, things are going to be affected if people don't have jobs. Things like that. It's going to lead to a worse life because AI is being used to just box people out of jobs, as history has done and will continue to do. But generally, that's not really what I see when it comes to like AI artwork like complaints. It is people, I don't know if people will recognize it as such, but I always look at it as a spiritual issue. There is something core to the human experience about creativity that people long for, crave, love, need to a certain extent. And when it's not there, it feels like a crime. It feels like an attack. It feels like people are disregarding humanity, which falls right in line with the economic issue too. If people need money to live, and we've decided that our society, you have to work for that money, and so if you destroy somebody's job because you're substituting in an AI bot, you are disregarding their humanity, the needs that they have. I think it all does fall under a pretty big umbrella, but when we talk about artwork, there is something about how, like, yeah, people could just not care, but they get upset. People get upset when there is not a human touch, when there is not human creativity involved in the process of creating something. And I would say that it comes from a pretty deep-seated spark.
Man, I mean,
the image of God is what it would be.
As you're saying that, very, very well said, because what you just clicked on in my brain is we have known this for decades in food. We know for a fact when we take a bite of food, this was made in a factory.
Yeah.
This was the copied and pasted, and sure, it might be Sara Lee's ancient recipe that she gave to Nestle
from the ancient
or whatever else.
Text handed down by the tome authors.
But Sarah of the Lee.
Sarah of the Lees.
But now it has been mass produced to the point that we can tell this is a homemade cookie. This is not.
Yeah.
When I take a bite, this is objectively better. I don't know why, but it is. It just is better. I can taste it. I can feel it. I know it. A home-cooked meal versus a meal at a restaurant. Like,
both can taste good.
Right.
Both can be great.
Good.
And the rest, I would say it's more like Burger King could literally, like, everything they could say about we cook all of our burgers on a grill and all of that. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't mean that you think of Burger King as a place where you're as the same as going to your friend's house for a barbecue and getting a burger, and hanging out. Like, it's not the same. The food does not have the same spiritual, language to it, that connotation.
Man, you're blowing my mind here, because legitimately It is an indescribable thing that we just know. I've never met a single person in my life that said to themselves, man, if I could have a restaurant made meal every meal of my life, that would be perfect. I want that every single time.
Sometimes I feel that way, but yes, yeah,
But
I understand what you're saying.
No, I
Sometimes it's like, yeah, let me get some sushi every day, and I just want somebody else to make it for me.
I don't mean you have to make yourself. I mean, if food were to appear in front of
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I've never met anybody who would say, I want it to be restaurant made every time.
Yeah.
Somebody would say, I want my mom's,
Yeah.
pasta. I want my dad's steaks
On a
or
Mythical
whatever.
Kitchen, the YouTube channel, they have last meals, which is like, what would you eat for your last meal? And a lot of times it is restaurant stuff, like a specific restaurant does it this way. Sometimes it's just the generic, I love enchiladas.
Right.
And a lot of times it's my grandma's 3-bean salad, whatever it is. Like
Exactly.
they specifically say, this person made it for me this way, and I love it.
There is a human element to things in food that we love.
Yeah.
Why would food is an art? Why would we think that disappears if it's visual art instead
Right.
of culinary arts? And you're absolutely right. It's just that you can sense it. You can see it. I don't know anybody who would say, man, I only want AI art for the rest of my life. If every single frame I see for the rest of my life is AI, that's just fine with me.
Right.
No, people
Unless you are financially motivated. Yeah. Unless you got stock options or whatever.
So let's go into the theological aspect of this then.
Yeah.
Again, I say it's theological. We're
already there, but
Spirituals.
let's be real about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Why-
I'd say theological is also the right.
What is this? Why? What is it about us that wants this to be human created?
You and I last, I don't know, 5 or 6 months ago went to there's a thing here in Portland, the PDX Together gospel gatherings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We were both there.
You started with, we went to this thing together in Portland, and I'm like, we're best friends.
Happens
we
like
go
once a
everywhere
week.
all the time.
Where they have a speaker come in and just talk about something, and it's usually directed toward ministry leaders. And it was John. Who was it? Who was the speaker? Dang it! I really wish I could remember this.
There
right
were
now.
several, so
Yes, very, very famous. If you are anywhere in the realm of knowing about, you would probably recognize the name. Center Church is one of his books. Dang it, I can't remember.
What's one of his books?
Center Church.
Okay, I'll Google that. You keep going.
Look it up. The talk was about AI in ministry. And one of the, I have talked about this with so many people because it really, I don't know about changed, but really cauterized my viewpoint.
Tim Keller?
No, it wasn't Tim Keller.
Yeah, he
Anyway,
wrote
I'm sorry,
Center
I got
Church.
it wrong. Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll look it up and maybe we'll put it in the show notes or something.
Yeah.
So essentially, he started the talk. He's like, we're scheduled to be here for about 3 hours total. By hour 2, you're going to wonder, I thought this was about AI. It's like, oh, okay. And the reason for that was that he started by talking about the great Shema. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. I believe is, in the Old Testament. I always get them mixed up. In the New Testament, Jesus adds to it with your strength as well. I believe that's the order.
You have a prayer shawl with the Shema on it right there next to you. I was just looking for it.
Yes, let me read this Hebrew for you. I deliberately chose not to take language classes in
Shema
Bible college.
Yisrael.
Yeah, whatever, man.
Adonai.
Oh, I went to Brain College.
Did you say I went to Brain College?
Yes. And he talked about the idea, this was for the Israelites. This was, the thing. The whole law was important. But teach it to your children. Put it on your door frame. Think about it constantly. Put it on your forehead and, do these things. This is important. And the idea is that everything you have should be used toward worshiping God. We often think about worship as music. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
The idea of music is worship, and very few of us will actually think that's the end of worship. But we often don't think about going to our 9-to-5 job or driving our kids to school or going to the gym as worship. But the speaker was like, those things are worship if you allow them to be. You are using what God has given you to the betterment of somebody else, to create a better place, to raise your kids, to keep your body healthy, to provide food for your family, to do these things. And his ultimate argument was, when we introduce AI, generative AI, in a way that's, for example, if you're a pastor writing a sermon, you say, please write a sermon. about this topic, 20 minutes long, include quotes from so-and-so, whatever. It might come out with a really great sermon that is theologically accurate, that is not wrong, that if you read it, nobody would have a problem with and might actually think is good.
Mm-hmm.
But it removes the possibility, or at least it possibly removes using your mind as a way to love God. You are removing that mandate of loving God with everything you have. And I think that is where we come to, is when we, as Christians, if we are talking about the idea of using generative AI, I cannot decry every single use of AI. That would be irresponsible of me. There are ways to use AI that is very useful. Administrative, whatever.
I use AI regularly.
I'm also not here, right? I'm also not here to just create a list of do's and don'ts. That's not our. But when we go into the concept of using generative AI, if we want to be an artist, we have the opportunity to use what we have been endowed with, the love of our Creator, the image of God, to reflect our love of Him and our love of the world He has created and the love of the art that people have. We love Dragon Ball Z because it's fun and gives us joy, and we want to emulate Akira Toriyama's creativity. And then if we just feed that into an AI and say, give me another picture, we are to a certain extent foregoing that mandate of using our mind in the process of loving our God. And that has affected my life to a certain extent of what am I doing? Would it be easier to do certain things? Sure. Or would it be fun? I guess. I don't know. I don't personally have a lot of things in my life that generative AI would be super useful for at this point. But theologically speaking, there is a risk of foregoing an opportunity to demonstrate our love to God by using machines that cannot love God, because they are machines. They were not created in His image like we are. I think that to me is the core issue from a theological standpoint.